Hey everyone, Richard Phillips back at you with some more modern action. Today we are going to be playing a really neat take on Blue-White Miracles. However, before we get to the deck, I thought today would be a great time to do the second giveaway of the channel. A couple of months ago, I had commissioned a couple of pieces of altar art from the wonderful altarist Starlina. And today I'm going to be giving away one of them. It is this here pictured Hallowed fountain, which has been extended for full borders, just kind of like the new Ultimate Master set that is coming up. It has done to a lot of the cards. This is something that I always thought was really cool, and I'm excited to give that away to one of you. So in order to enter this contest, you need to be subscribed to the channel and click on the link below, which will send you to SurveyMonkey, and it's just for me to collect your name and a way for me to contact you if you were to win. I'll select one lucky contestant probably about 10 days after this video is released. And if you're the winner, I'll contact you, get an address from you, and send it off your way. So just a little thank you from me to you guys for being such a wonderful audience and helping this channel grow from 0 subscribers in March all the way up to more than 150 of you now. So I just wanted to thank you and give back a little bit. All right, so now for what we're doing today. We are playing Blue-White Miracles in an incredibly hostile meta. This is the deck that I absolutely love. However, based on the results that we've seen over the last couple of weeks with Dredge just kind of taking over the format and a bunch of big mana decks and weird stuff going on to try to beat it, Blue-White Miracles has kind of fallen off the map. So, of course, what do I want to do is change up Blue-White Miracles to just make it fun. So today we're playing way more of a fun deck than we are playing a competitive deck. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to counterbalance lock some fools. So we've got 3 counterbalances in this deck. And basically a lot of people question, it's like, well, I mean, so counterbalance, what are we doing? Are we just trying to get lucky with counterbalance? Just like randomly flip a 2 or a 1 mana spell off the top and counter something? And the answer to that question is yes. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We have just a couple of ways to try to get us there. We have 4 telling times so that we have a little bit of knowledge of what the top of our library is, and hopefully can flip, cast a telling time and put like a Path to Exile on top and then counter Serum Visions, for example. We also are playing, instead of Snapcaster Mages, we are playing 3 mission briefings. So mission briefing does something really cool when trying to set up counterbalance, where you can surveil the top of your library to make sure that a card has the correct converted mana cost, leave it on top, then let the counterbalance trigger resolve, so counter the spell, and then use the mission briefing to cast something like an Opt and scry away that card if you don't want to draw it. So between telling time and the 3 mission briefings, we're going to attempt to set up the top of our library. Because we have a bunch of cards that are trying to set up the top of our library past what Blue-White Miracles normally does, we're playing an Entreat the Angel as a finisher. In addition, you can see that the deck is just naturally low on 3 mana spells. Like I'm playing a main deck Timely Reinforcements, which I almost never do, and this Entreat the Angels, literally just to give the deck something on 3 that we can hopefully use counterbalance for. Is counterbalance worth it? Probably not. It's really good against Storm, so hopefully we play against a Storm opponent, and I can show it off there. The other thing that this does is we have the double blue for the mission briefings plus the double blue for the counterbalance, is it really messes up our mana quite a bit. We're playing a bunch more fetches than usual. I'm playing 7 fetches, including polluted deltas. We only have 1 plains, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 islands, which is a lot. We are also only down to 3 Field of Ruin because we need to support double blue on 2 almost all the time. So the overall point of this deck is that counterbalance hopefully gives us a lot of game against unfair strategies like Storm. Against Storm, if we can cast a Jace and then just float a 2 mana spell on top of our library with a counterbalance out, the Storm opponent basically can't win. So we're hoping to get a couple of matchups like that. Unfortunately, because we have main deck Mana Leak, main deck Logic Knot, plus all of these counterbalances here, we're super weak to humans and spirits game 1, as well as in a deck like Dredge that doesn't really care about us countering spells. Also, the counterbalance idea is not great against Tron. So we have a sideboard that is actually playing quite a bit of fair cards. We have 4 Spell Quellers, a Vendilion Click, a Supreme Verdict, Ghostly Prison, Celestial Purge. Like, these are all more or less fair cards that we can bring in matchups where the counterbalance idea is bad. Because generally we're cutting counterbalance, plus we're going to cut a couple of telling times because they're really awful as a cantrip. you'll see, hopefully, in this video that telling time is sometimes amazing, and sometimes it's way worse than anticipate. Like, way worse. There are so few situations where you actually want to draw 2 of the top 3 cards of your library. And usually the drawing the card off the top of your library is like a detriment to the deck. Like, you almost never want to draw the card off of telling time unless you're setting up a miracle. That's like the only time you want to. So we'll see what's going on. I had quite a bit of success in this, testing it. I played like 3 matches. I won 2 of them, and I played against Storm twice, and it was really fun. So I hope that we can maybe play against a Storm opponent or something like that. I'm going to run it through a few cues here, and hope we have some fun. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, enter the contest, and I'll see you guys at the beginning of round number 1. All right, everyone, welcome to round number 1. We have a double Terminus hand with no lands to cast it, so we will mulligan that. We are also going to mulligan this hand. This is we're not even playing 4 Field of Ruins. I guess a blue-white deck would have the same issue. All right, we will keep this 5 and, you know, cry ourselves to sleep a little bit. We do not want a Cryptic Command here. Our opponent kept 7. Oh, okay, so our opponent is playing a blue-red, it looks like the Fairies deck or something like that. Or not the Fairies deck, the, I guess, I mean, it's a Flash deck. The blue-red Flash deck. So we actually have a lot of game with a Counterbalance in this matchup. Unfortunately, we're down to 5 cards. Oh, no, they're playing some sort of Jeskai control deck? This is interesting. Was not expecting that. Okay, so Thing in the Ice. Interesting. All right. All right, makes sense. All right, so I think we're just going to get this Thing in the Ice off the table, and we'll play an island and actually probably opt into a counter spell. Or a land, rather. So the opponent, generally, the reason why I'm firing off that Path to Exile is because when you are mulliganing so far like this, your main win condition in a matchup like this, where you're both playing like counter spells and stuff like that, is that one person just floods out and can't actually do anything. That's kind of the way that you're gonna win the game. So, like you see, you know, we played our 1 threat. Our opponent played their 1 threat. We killed it, and it doesn't really look like they have a good follow-up. All right, so we do need to hit lands here. We'd like to draw one here. That's perfect. All right, so we'll play that and pass the turn. And then at the end of the turn, we'll probably telling time to try to find another land and then shuffle away the 2 non-lands with this Flooded Strand. Because most likely we're not going to want to draw 2 of the cards. Okay, Search for Azcanta is potentially problematic for us. All right, so let us cast a Telling Time, hopefully take a land, and then shuffle away 2 non-lands. If our opponent wants to counter this, that's also fine. Ooh, okay. So we can entreat the angels for 1. Is making 1 angel any good in this situation? All right, well, we definitely want to put the Prairie Stream. So basically our question is, do we want Search for Azcanta, or do we want Entreat the Angels on top of our deck? And how good is 1 angel here? Probably not very good. So let's just take the Search for Azcanta, I guess, and we'll play a longer game. So we will draw both of the cards, which is very rare for this deck. This way we can play the Prairie Stream untapped here. So we're going to go ahead and get an island, play that, and then cast the Search for Azcanta. Play around like Spell Pierce or something like that. If our opponent has Remand, we can also play it again. There we go. Perfect. All right, well, we're not just dead here. Our opponent has 2 more cards, so they're up 2 cards in terms of card advantage. However, we are at parity pretty much on the board. We both have our Search for Azcantas going. Ours is way closer to flipping than theirs is, and they probably don't have ways to, what's the word called? Ways to destroy ours. Like, I highly doubt that in a 3-color deck that's also playing, like, Thing in the Ices like this, they have a good way to destroy a flipped Search for Azcanta, like no Field of Ruins or anything. All right, so we can actually flip it next turn, which is kind of cool. Opponent casts Snapcaster Mage. That's fine. They have no spells in their graveyard. That seems really overzealous. Okay, the opponent attacks us. That is also fine. One of our best draws here would probably be Counterbalance. Put Polluted Delta in the graveyard. No, I think we do want to draw like all of our lands. So we'll go ahead and play that. Because we are hopefully going to be cracking this, the Search for Azcanta, or flipping it rather, not cracking it, and drawing some cards off of it. If our opponent wants to beat us down for 2 at a time, we do have a Timely Reinforcements in the deck that actually would be kind of absurd here. So maybe we'll draw that. That would actually be pretty ideal. Our opponent also appears to just be drawing cards. Oh, they do have a Field of Ruin. Interesting. Okay. So now we're not going to flip this Search for Azcanta until we have a way to destroy their Field of Ruin. Or we draw a second Search for Azcanta. Put Mana Leak in the graveyard. Yeah, I mean, our opponent has too much mana. I don't think Mana Leak's any good. Let's not transform it here. All right, we can play around Mana Leak now, which is kind of cool. Our opponent, I'm assuming, is not a Logic Knot deck. They're probably a Mana Leak deck, so we can get this Cryptic Command under a Mana Leak. Alternately, we can try to bait our opponent using this Field of Ruin by activating the Colonnade to block here. I think I'm going to do that. We don't really have good answers to things right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. See if our opponent wants to Field of Ruin it, because then we can flip our Azcanta. Or if our opponent wants to use a Bolt, yeah, this is fine. And then we have this Cryptic Command to bounce like a Jace or something. All right, cool. Fine. Totally fine with us. No, let's not put that in the graveyard. Here, actually, I think I do want to transform the Search for Azcanta to try to play around Mana Leak. Does that make sense? Yeah, let's transform it here. Let's try to, because we're going to be drawing this Jace. And then we can cast the Jace here and play around Mana Leak. Okay, our opponent just remands. That's fine. So we are not going to get it to draw a card off of the Search for Azcanta, but I think that the opportunity cost of trying to get that Jace down, like we're still behind on cards. We needed something. Yeah, maybe that was a little aggressive. Definitely could have been. All right, so the opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in hand. All right, so we will, I think, just say go here. There's no reason to try to bounce the Cryptic Command. If we draw a land next turn, we can force this Jace through with Cryptic Command backup. Okay, opponent plays a fetch land. And the opponent passes. All right, that's a telling time. I think we'll just pass the turn here. Or we could try to hit, yeah, let's try to hit a Field of Ruin. Let's do that. Oh, second Jace, that's interesting. All right, so we'll take the Colonnade, put Jace on top, and play the Colonnade. So that way we can just let the first Jace get countered, and then hopefully just play the second one. Our opponent is going to get to flip the Search for Azcanta here. And then they'll start drawing some cards. But hopefully we can use our Jace to mitigate the effect of that. All right, so now we will try to resolve a Jace. Okay, so the opponent does use Cryptic Command, and I'm assuming they're going to counter draw. Because it's a Cryptic Command, I'm going to counter that back because the opportunity cost of this actually, or the ability for us to actually counter the draw is really huge in this place. If they have another counter spell, then I mean they were going to get the other Jace anyway. But using the Cryptic here to counter the Cryptic, yeah, see, look, it worked. That's awesome. All right, cool. So now we do need to look at the top card of our opponent's library, or they'll just kill it with a Wandering Fumarole. Let's look at the top card of our library, actually. All right, Field of Ruin. We would love that card, so put it on the bottom. No. Cool. So now the opponent's going to need to use Burn Spell plus the Fumarole to kill the Jace. And then we can hopefully just slam another Jace next turn and destroy their Search for Azcanta. Opponent finds a Cryptic Command. So these are the cards that we know about of our opponents. The fact that we started this game down 2 cards and had to path a turn 2 play from our opponent and that we're still in the game is kind of amazing. We're not ahead, but we're certainly in the game. Ojatai's Command, returning Snapcaster Mage. That's cool tech. I would love to be able to play a deck that can do that. That's so cool. In case you guys don't know this card, this is a promo version of it. This is one of the coolest cards from the Dragons of Tarkir set, I believe, for blue-white. In terms of, like, it gives you a bunch of modal effects that are all super relevant, but just a little bit too slow for Modern. It was pretty good in Standard, though. I played it quite a bit. All right, so here we can kill the Search for Azcanta and also slam Jace. So I think I like that. So let's cast Jace first, because that way our opponent can only have, like, Mana Leak here. Uh-oh, it does look like they have a Logic Knot or something. No, they're remanding it. Okay, that's fine. So they remand it, then we Field of Ruin here, and then we have 4 mana to cast Jace. Ooh, we do need to hit a land to make this work, though. So then we Brainstorm, we take 2 from that. Yeah, let's try it. Seems worth it. We do need to get that Azcanta off the battlefield, and this is our only real clean opportunity to resolve this Jace. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to Brainstorm and hope to hit a path for the Fumarole. And of course we miss. All right, so that's fine. We'll just put a couple Terminuses on top. And then we hopefully can start racing our opponent, I guess, with the Colonnades. That's going to have to be our plan. We don't really have another option here. Opponent's way up on cards now. We don't know how many paths they have in their deck, but so far we haven't seen any. I don't know if they are playing paths or not. I'm assuming they are. Hopefully not in large numbers. Okay, they're attacking us, so they just don't care about the Jace. That's weird. Maybe they have a burn spell. Okay, Helix. That's fine. All right, so if they're up to 19, sure, we'll reveal this Terminus. We'll cast it to kill our opponent's Snapcaster Mage, which is not great value, but it's fine. And then we'll attack our opponent with a Colonnade. Cool. See if our opponent has a path. Looks like they do. All right, that's fine. We're not going to fight over a path here. We do have another Colonnade. All right, so opponent is now going on the beatdown plan, and I guess we're just going to take the 2 because we have another Terminus on top of our deck that we know about. So this will take us to 9 and then 7. The difference between 7 and 9 is not huge. Ooh, Jace. All right. Very problematic now. See if they uptick the Jace. No, they're just drawing cards with it. Interesting. All right. So next turn we can protect the Colonnade with the Cryptic Command. If they try to kill it in combat, if they try to kill it before combat, we can't because I think our plan here is still Terminus to kill the Snapcaster Mage. I think. We have to have a lot of things go right at this point. What is this? Exile a land card. It becomes a 3. That's weird. All right. Opponent's playing like bad Jeskai, I guess, with Thing in the Ice. I do like Thing in the Ice. I think that is kind of cool, but yeah, this has been a little weird. All right. Oh, I guess we did we shuffle away the other Terminus? Did we shuffle away the first Terminus too? And I just was like, we just like really luckily hit it. That's so weird. All right. Yeah, maybe I might just be going kind of crazy here and have thought that we had two Terminuses on top of our deck when we obviously did not. All right, let's try to Cryptic Command counter and bounce the thing that would kill us. So counter. Oh wait, no, that's return, draw a card. Counter target spell, return. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so that and return the Fumarole. Okay, and now we're just dead. All right, so moving on to the sideboard. In this matchup, the Terminuses seem really bad. I think we can just kill our opponent's stuff with the paths. The Counterbalance lock, however, seems great. I was surprised that we did not see a single one that whole game. So in this matchup, I guess I like... Celestial Purge is probably okay, but I definitely like the Dispel, the Negates, this Vendilion Click. Do we want to bring in Quellers? Probably not. We saw so many bolts from our opponent. They do have Jaces, so that's fine. I don't like Cryptic Command in this matchup just because it's so expensive to cast, but I think that this is probably our best option here, is to just run it like this. So that's what we'll do. And we'll hope to use the Counterbalance lock to our advantage here. Love to just slam it on turn 2. All right, cool. We can just slam it on turn 2. Sounds good. And then hopefully over the course of the match, just the incremental advantages we gain from randomly countering stuff with Counterbalance will bring us a victory. Okay, the opponent just plays a tap land, so we're not going to get spell snared, which is perfect. Ooh, we even have a telling time to start trying to set some stuff up. That's great. We'll just get an island here, and we will slam the Counterbalance. See if the opponent wants to try to just smash a spell into a Counterbalance, see what happens. Okay, search for his content. If we hit a 2 here, this is like big game. No, we have a Path to Exile on top. All right, so that's not a great draw. Opponent likes the tech. All right, we will play the Field of Ruin here, and we will pass the turn. Trying to hit probably a land drop off of the telling time. We could also, I guess, Detention Sphere the search for his content at some point. That might have been a good option there. All right, let's just take our draw step. Okay, so we hit Prairie Stream. That's going to be tapped, but that's okay. As long as we're just hitting our land drops here. We also have Logic Knot up for 2 if we need it. Alright, so our opponent is not jamming spells into our counterbalance, which is... I mean, that's the correct way to play it. Alright, so we will cast our own Telling Time here. Try to hit a land drop. Alright, cool. So island, and we will put Teferi on top of our library because drawing that seems nice. We can also just randomly counter an opponent if they're playing a Ral or their own Teferi next turn, which would be really cool if they just tried to jam. All right, so we'll just draw this Teferi. I think we can just go ahead and cast Attention Sphere here. Try to get the Search for Ascanta if our opponent wants to counter it. We can try to Telling Time to try to just randomly counter. Okay, it looks like it's going to resolve. That's fine. Perfect. All right, just go ahead and do something here because that's the way that our opponent could eventually win the game is just by doing that. All right, so I'm not going to do anything about this. We'll see what happens. All right, we have an Opt on top. That's fine. So our opponent can't cast a 1-mana spell during their turn, which is great. They will not be able to cast a cantrip here. So far, we still have not countered anything with the counterbalance, but we're making our opponent play in a weird pattern. They've also only cast 2 spells. So. Oh, Dragon Lord Ojutai. Interesting. All right, so we will just have to Logic Knot this, and then they can't dispel the... they will not be able to dispel the Logic Knot. So even if they have a Dispel in hand, they will not be able to do anything about it. All right, cool. So we countered that. No on the counterbalance. That's fine. And then we can slam our Teferi here and start ticking up. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cast Teferi. Cool. All right. Untap. Oh, draw another counterbalance. Double counterbalance triggers is really cool. So we will definitely untap these 2 lands here, and we can hopefully cast a Telling Time if our opponent tries to kill the Teferi. Opponent casts Snapcaster Mage. All right, let's try to Telling Time to counter this. All right, perfect. So we will be able to put a negate on top, and that will counter it. So Flooded Strand in hand, negate on top, and then we will say yes here. Counter the Snapcaster Mage. Perfect. Getting ahead on mana here. Putting a 2 on top so our opponent can't Helix it. Still the same 2 on top. That's not how that works, opponent. Opponent's going to move to Concession Step here. There we go. Perfect. So you guys see the power of counterbalance right there. Our opponent, had a hand a Snapcaster thing in the ice thing. It's just, okay, and here's the counterbalance. Got to beat it. All right, so our opponent probably is going to be bringing in like a Wear Tear or something like that to try to deal with the counterbalance. So I'm a little less happy about this Detention Sphere. I don't think we're going to be able to get much value off of it, but there's not much else here that I want. I guess a consideration is if our opponent is playing Keranos, we probably want the Celestial Purge, but I think that's even a little preemptive. We have, a couple of answers to it. The biggest one is just prevent our opponent from drawing it or resolving it. All right, we're going to keep this hand just because it has lands and Search for Ascanta, which I think is as important, if not more important, than Counterbalance in the matchup. All right, opponent goes with a Serum Visions. We also have the Field of Ruin, which is great, and the Click for some pressure. And we even drew another land, which is great. We would play that one. Man, opponent's going real low on the life total. All right, so they have some sort of like negate or something like that up, so I'm just not going to jam a search first content into that. I'll just pass. We're not under any pressure at all right now. Our opponent wants to just, okay, they're bolting. That's fine. Yep. That's why we still have the timely reinforcements in the deck. I love timely reinforcements in this matchup. Right, we didn't board it out. Yeah, it's still in here somewhere. Cool. All right, so opponent's up to 3 lands. Once again, I'm not going to just jam this search for Escanta. They almost certainly have a counter spell because they shocked in last turn and then didn't use both mana. They only used one of the mana. Okay, Snapcaster targeting Bolt here. All right, that's fine. I think we will go ahead and just Vendilion click here after they cast this Bolt. Sure, okay. So that's, and now we will hopefully take a like a Jace or something out of our opponent's hand that they can't cast here and like gain a bunch of advantage. Okay, so Cryptic Command, Dispel, Remand, Field of Ruin. I guess we'll just get rid of the Cryptic Command, and we know the other 2 cards or the other 3 cards in their hand. Cryptic Command seems like it could potentially be better than, you know, a random top deck. Like if they draw another land, it's not particularly good. So very excited about that. And then we can now jam the Search for Escanta because all they have is Remand. Okay, so we know they have Remand, Dispel, 1 other card, or 2 other cards. Oh, Thing in the Ice is 1 of their cards. Okay, that's good for them. All right, we know they have Remand, so we'll play the Search for Escanta into the Remand. That's fine, and then we'll just play it again. Oh, no, it just resolves. Okay, that's fine, too. Cool. So then we get to play our other land. That was the reason why I sequenced it that way. Also, I was trying to bait our opponent a little bit into trying to cast it. All right, so unknown card, Dispel, Remand. We will have to hit a path at some point. The other thing that's kind of cool about Mission Briefing is you can always Desperation cast it and hope to, you know, get a land or get the other card that you want to cast with it. It's not a great play, but it's a, you know, it's a thing you can do. All right, put path into your graveyard. No, we'd like to draw that one. All right, and then we will play the Prairie Stream. Hopefully our opponent fires off a spell here at the end of the turn. But I'm going to wait on the Path to Exile. We're not in a huge rush to use that, and our opponent was missing land drops. Okay, they no longer are. But that's fine. Yeah, let's put a land in the graveyard. We don't need that. All right, Logic Knot's helpful. We'll play the Field of Ruin. This way we can at least bluff a Celestial Colonnade block on something. Oh, okay. So that's... Oh, we can actually take this opportunity currently to path it. So I guess we'll do that. Put it as Dispel, Remand. Okay, so they're going to Dispel the Path to Exile, and we will just Logic Knot the... I guess we'll just exile both cards, so we'll just counter it unless they pay 2. This way we can still, at some point, or at least threaten that we have another counter spell, or use the Field of Ruin. We do get a little bit blown out here if our opponent also has another Dispel, but yeah, this is looking fine. This way we still have Mission Briefing path up for our turn. All right, so now we know they have Remand, unknown card, unknown card. All right, and now our Celestial Colonnade goes away. We will just go ahead and get an island. And still maintain our Mission Briefing path thing. Another thing to note, Mission Briefing is actually significantly better against Remand than Snapcaster Mage is, because Mission Briefing says you can cast the card. It doesn't give it flashback. So it goes back to your hand. So if your opponent remands a spell that you cast off Mission Briefing, it doesn't get exiled. It actually goes back to your hand, which is really cool. And the first time it did it, I was actually super surprised, and I didn't really understand what was happening. I think Mana Leak's just not good anymore. Like, we're too late in the match up for it. Do we want to play Polluted Delta or Hallowed Fountain? So I guess we'll play Hallowed Fountain here. At a certain point, we can probably just hard cast this Entreat the Angels to try to just, you know, generate a little bit of pressure on our opponent, especially once they use their remand. Okay, opponent's just passing. That's fine. We know they have remand and 3 unknown cards. Another Mission Briefing. Yeah, let's put that one in the graveyard too. That's not... All right, there we go. That's a Telling Time. That's great. All right, so we're going to play our land out. We can Telling Time to take one of the top 3 cards and then shuffle with the Polluted Delta and try to run away with the Azcanta. We could always make the really awkward play of Field of Ruining their Field of Ruin, and in response they Field of Ruin one of our other lands, so we just go down a land, but we at least get it off the table. I guess we'll see what's on top of our library first before making that judgment call. All right, so we'll just take the land, I guess, because we don't want the paths. We already have one in the graveyard with a Mission Briefing. So then we will shuffle that away. And I don't think we're going to flip the Azcanta quite yet. Oh, well, I guess we are, because I misclicked a little bit there. But that's all right. I think there's definitely worse things in this. Hopefully our opponent just, you know, runs off this Field of Ruin right now on the Azcanta, and we can find a counterbalance or something off of it. All right, cool. Let's try to hit a counterbalance here. Oh, let's just find another search for Azcanta. That's perfect. All right, cool. And then we'll put the others in any order, and we are going to want to shuffle, which we're going to do here, because some of those other cards were really good. Opponent casts a Snapcaster Mage. That's fine. They don't have anything to cast. Just doing it purely for the beatdowns. Sounds good to me. I think we'll just go ahead and block with the Celestial Colonnade, make them use some mana here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's go ahead and fetch here. I guess we'll just get our planes. Yeah, let's float a mana. That's fine. Get an island here. And then we will cast the Opt. Trying to hit a little bit of action here. Counterbalance is pretty good. Let's do that. All right, so we are down to 10. Opponent has 4 cards in hand. Double Counterbalance. Awesome. All right, so we'll cast Counterbalance. Spell Snare it. That's totally fine. Cast another Counterbalance. Remand the Counterbalance. Okay. Cast another Counterbalance. Cool. All right, and then cast Search for Azcanta. All right, so now our opponent needs 3 burn spells here to kill us, which they could have, but I think if we can untap, we are going to be in very good shape. All right, we have 11 cards in our graveyard, including a Mana Leak and a Logic Knot, so we can counter some stuff here, which is good. Yeah, let's put that in our graveyard. We will definitely transform the Azcanta. All right, now we have Opt plus all of this other stuff. This is great. We'll just pass the turn. Still looking for our timely reinforcements. That's kind of, if we can cast that, that'll be like game winning. Okay, our opponent activates the Wandering Fumarole. All right, so that's fine. And then we will, at the beginning of combat, I guess, go ahead and try to search for something here. All right, we got a Cryptic Command. So we will just Cryptic Command, tap, and draw a card. Probably not tapping that way. That was a bad way to tap. That was a very bad way to tap. We should not have... Okay, Disdainful Stroke. Let's see what is on top of our library. All right, it is a Field of Ruin. All right, so they are going to be able to counter our Cryptic Command. All right, and now we will, still at the beginning of combat, blow up the Fumarole. Get our last land out of the deck. All right, and our opponent will knock us down to 6 here. We would like to find our timely reinforcements. Might even be worth opting for it here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. All right, we don't want another Field of Ruin. Polluted Delta is actually really bad. We don't have another land in the deck to get with it. So these are just shuffles, because we have all of our lands. Huh. All right, well, this isn't going incredibly well. All right, perfect. We found the timely reinforcements, which is exactly what we want. We will play a fetch land just because that is an extra shuffle on the counterbalance. Perfect. All right, so we're up to 12. That's great. And then I don't really see our opponent being able to win from here. The opponent casts something big. All right, so what we are going to do here is try to mission briefing a card to the top of our library. See if it works. So we're going to mission briefing, hoping to put a counterbalance or something on top of our library. Okay, so we will just graveyard both of these and choose Logic Knot. So now we will let this resolve. All right, we have a gate on top of our library. Now we will Logic Knot this Jace, countering it unless they pay 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can just go ahead and do a 6th because we actually don't have another card that matters for our graveyard. So we'll do 6 here, and we have a gate on top. So if our opponent tries to cast a 2-mana spell, it will be countered. Oh, okay, so they have another, they have a Cryptic Command here. So what we will do here is shuffle, not finding a card off of it, just shuffling our library, because we don't have anything. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 out of 23. So we have about a 25% chance of just blind countering this. And we do not get it. It is a Field of Ruin. Okay, so our opponent is going to get a Jace the Mind Sculptor on the battlefield. However, they are still pretty behind. I think. You know, I say that, and I think our plan here next turn is just to hard cast this and treat the Angels for as much as we can. make just like a bunch of angels, make our opponent beat us that way. Yeah, it was really unfortunate. That line didn't work out very well at all. All right, so there's that. We will attack the Jace. Attack Jace. Okay, the opponent does that. Then we cast Entreat the Angels for a lot. We need, it's one too many. There we go. Done. For 4. So we get 4 angels. So currently our opponent is dead on board. They will have to interact with our angels. They could fire off 4 burn spells at our face and beat us here. That seems really hard, but potentially something they could do. Okay, Dragon Lord Ojutai. That's a good blocker. We do have one. Okay, so Cryptic Commands on top of our library. That is not a great blocker against an angel, but it's a fine blocker against an angel. All right, we did draw the Cryptic Command. So we can just attack everything at our opponent. Well, let's see if we can find an additional counter spell. If we can find an additional counter spell, this makes everything so much easier. 1, 2, 3. I think mission briefing will work. Yeah, let's take the mission briefing. All right, so now what we can do is 1, 2, 3, 4. We can return the Jace to our opponent's hand, return the Jace to our opponent's hand and tap all their creatures. Now let's return this Hallowed Fountain, so they have to respond now. Okay, so the opponent attempts to negate. We will now mission briefing to hit the lock. All right, so 2 mana spell. Do we want to leave a 1 on top? I wonder what the chances are that our opponent has a 1 mana spell. So it's either Dispel or Negate is basically what we're talking about here. I think we just want to put them both in our graveyard. Yeah. All right, so we'll do that, and then we'll choose Mana Leak. And then we will see if this resolves. It is a Cryptic Command. All right, so we do have to Mana Leak this. Oh man, the opponent did have the Dispel. Dang it. All right. All right, so the Cryptic Command is countered. Fortunately, our opponent is still on Chump Block, so that's good. So we can either put our opponent to 1, or we can kill the Jace and put our opponent to 1, or put our opponent to 2, which I think is better. All right, cool. So the opponent actually will not be able to generate enough burn here to kill us, and they're going to have to answer our board and get through the counterbalance as they're doing it. Cool, and our opponent concedes. All right, so match one, you already saw the power of the counterbalance, especially game two. That game, it was really bad. And you can also see how much work the putting counterbalance is, and even then, it doesn't even really work. We didn't get very lucky at all. We were still able to win, but we just, it's the counterbalances needs work. There's not really a good way currently in Modern without playing really bad cards to enable it. So we'll move on to round two. Maybe we'll play against something that's unfair, that's playing a lot of like the same converted mana cost spells, and maybe it'll be more effective there. All right, everyone, welcome to round number two. We will take the play. This hand is great. It's got the ability to Terminus. It's got timely reinforcements if our opponent's playing creature decks. It's got Cryptic Command and Jace if they're not. Seems really good against a lot of decks. Hey, look at that. The Hallowed Fountain's even the art that I'm giving away. That's awesome. I rent from Mana Traders, so I just kind of get whatever, which is why nothing really ever matches with my decks. I own my own ops and paths and islands and stuff, but the rest. Oh, it looks like another blue deck, so we might be fine with the. Oh, geez. So Jeff Hoagland was playing this deck on stream a couple of days ago. It is trying to put the scissors from M15 on Darksteel Relics and just kind of beat the opponent down. The concept of it's really cool. I don't know if it's actually any good, but I don't know. At the same time, our counterbalance plan is actually also probably not very good, but at least our opponent has 0 drops. That's easy to counter. We have 22 hits in the deck. Opponent's casting a thing. Oh, Metallic Rebuking it. Okay. Cool. Maybe that's not what our opponent's doing, because that deck certainly didn't play Metallic Rebuke. That's kind of cool. We'll see. Maybe we're not getting scissored up. I do really think that they're going to put scissors on this, though. That's interesting. So we've played 2 counterbalances and had 2 counterbalances countered so far. That's not really what I expected with this. All right, so our opponent's not doing anything, so we're just not going to do anything here. We'll just make our land drop and pass. There's no reason for us to try to, jam something with the opt. We're just going to, if our opponent's going to miss land drops, we'll just make ours, and by the time they do something, hopefully we have enough mana to just kind of, do whatever we want. Yeah, that's fine. They'll probably name Jace, which is unfortunate, but I mean, it's like casting a Thoughtseize, but worse. Because we still get the card. Okay, yeah, opponent name's Jace. All right, and we'll just hit our land drop. That's unfortunate. All right, well, opponent does have 2 mana now because they turned on the Mox Opal. Ooh, Thopter Foundry. Okay, so this is not what I thought we were playing, but I will definitely counter that and draw a card. All right, we do hit a land, which is good. Opponent's playing a Thopter Sword deck, which theoretically could be a lot of trouble for us. Also, our sideboard for today doesn't really have great ways to interact with a artifact deck. Like, we don't have any Stony Silences in the sideboard just because those decks aren't particularly good right now. Although I say that the KCI deck did relatively well recently. So maybe that was a little bit of a an oversight on my part. All right, well, Thopter Foundry, I guess, is going to resolve here. I guess we can opt and try to hit a counter spell. It does seem kind of important that we counter this. Oh, it's a fairy's pretty good. Yeah, let's leave that on top. Okay. All right, our opponent gets a Thopter Foundry. That's fine. Opponent cast a Grafdigger's Cage. That's also fine. So opponent looks like there's some sort of like prison-y, like bad, what's the deck called? Bad Lantern deck. All right, put Prairie Stream in your graveyard. No, let's just draw that, I guess. All right, and we will play the Teferi. Taking up. All right, Path to Exile seems bad. And we'll untap a couple of lands. All right, so we just have to remember that we have a few cards shut off by the Grafdigger's Cage. Basically, just the mission briefings are totally worthless. Okay, we're worrying for something here. Whir for 3. Okay. I mean, we can't really interact with it. I wonder what they're going to get. Bridge isn't very good. Oh, they're going to get the Sword of them. Okay, so they're just going to go for the full-on combo here, which is, I mean, I guess it's, you know, theoretically a very good way to beat us. Put Telling Time in the graveyard. Yeah, let's put that in the graveyard. All right, we drew a Detention Sphere, which is actually, like, perfect. So we'll plus with the Teferi. We'll play this island, I guess. Go 1, 2, 3. Detention Sphere. We'll take the Thopter Foundry just because they've already played 1. So their chances of finding another one are way lower. And if we can ultimate this to Teferi, we'll be in great shape. Opponent just naturally has another one. Well, that's a little rough, but okay. I don't really want to bounce it with the Teferi. We just have to get 2 more turns out of this Teferi. Put Mana Leak in your graveyard. Yeah, let's put that in the graveyard. All right, we drew a Telling Time. All right, so let us draw a blind card first, and then, okay, so Mission Briefing's bad. Telling Time, because we're going to path the first thing. We can path the first. All right, so we'll put Opt in our hand, Glacial Fortress on top. Then we will opt away that. Really trying to hit a Cryptic command here. That's really what I want. All right, Flooded Strand. All right, we'll play a Plains, and then we are just going to cast this Jace, even though it doesn't do anything here, and then we'll path the 1 token that's going to try to get in at the Teferi. And then next turn, our plan is honestly just to... I think our plan is to just make some Angels and then block the next wave and hope that we can just get there with Jace plus the Teferi emblem. Why'd they sack the Darksteel Relic? I don't understand that. Okay. All right, we will path that. Our opponent has 4 mana. Ooh, another Pithing Needles. Bad news. Jeez. All right. Huh. We could have some trouble here. I think I have to just fire off this mission briefing here, just to dig us a little deeper. Try to find a cryptic command. Our plan is cryptic command to bounce the detention sphere. All right, we'll choose the path. That's fine. We can't cast anything anyway. All right. Put colony in the graveyard. Yes. All right. Transform as Kanta. Draw a cryptic command. No. All right. Activate. Find cryptic command. Okay, good. So then we oh geez. All right, so let's try to think about this. So if we cryptic command the detention sphere, 1, 2, so then we're going to be 1 mana short for casting everything again. All right. But then we get to brainstorm. Does that do anything? And we get to plus the Teferi here. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. All right, I think we just have to pass the turn here. And then our plan is going to be to fog the... fog the tokens and bounce a Thopter Foundry. Unless they just go after us. If they go after us, then this makes it a lot easier. All right, so they got 3 damage that'll be coming out of the Planeswalkers. And then I guess we're still tentatively planning on fogging our opponent. I don't know what that was for, but okay. Oh, cranial plating. Wow. All right. So that's fine. Wow, opponent's like really in on this. This is cool. All right, so we will let that resolve, and then we're going to, before combat here, so with all these things, we're going to tap all creatures our opponent controls, and so, all right, return, hold on, all right, return target permanents to its owner hand, tap all, return target permanent to owner and tap all creatures your opponent controls. There we go. Wow, that was really hard. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, cool. So we're going to now return the detention sphere to our hand, tap everything. Opponent gets back their other Thopter Foundry. That's fine. Mox Opal resolves. Opponent does not get to attack this turn. All right, so now what we do is 1, 2, 3, cast Detention Sphere. Target Pithing Needles. Okay, yes, use the Detention Sphere. All right, then we will plus the Teferi. And then we will brainstorm with the Jace, putting Entreat the Angels on top of our library. So we'll do land, Entreat the Angels, play a land for the turn, and then opt during our opponent's upkeep and make a bunch of angels to block. That's our tentative plan here. So we'll untap these 2. All right, our opponent will now attack. We will opt into our Entreat the Angels with the trigger on the stack. We'll fetch twice. 1, 2, 3. I guess we can only fetch Like we can fetch twice. 7, that's 5. Yeah, so we can fetch twice. Opponent is trying to kill a couple of the planeswalkers here. So we only need to make like 5 tokens here, which I guess makes everything a little bit easier. So we'll put that on top. Reveal that. With the trigger on the stack, we'll fetch. And we want to play around, I guess, Metallic Rebuke, so we will leave 3 mana up. All right, so 1. So this leaves 3 mana up, so we make 4. Cool. All right. Move to blocks, block. Block, block, block. Cool. Sweet, and our opponent concedes because we were going to be able to ultimate the Teferi and then start destroying all of our opponent's pieces here. Like we brainstorm 1, 2, 3, you know, and then maybe draw another card that cantrips like an opt. Awesome. All right, so out of the sideboard, I don't really like the Terminuses. That doesn't seem great. The Ghostly Prison is actually probably fine. The Rest in Pieces seem good, especially considering our opponent already seems to be kind of going in on that same plan. These can go. The Celestial Purge is actually probably fine because our opponent might have Planeswalkers, and we can also get the Thopter Foundry with this. The Spellcallers actually seem ideal. I don't think I want the Surgical Extractions because I think that's just a little bit overboarding. The Mission Briefings seem really bad. We're going to take them out because our opponent's playing cards that that make them bad, and so are we. I'll cut a couple of paths. I want to keep just a couple of them in, though. Now, maybe we should just cut all of them. Yeah, let's just cut all of them. Yeah, that seems fine. All right, we'll cut them all. All right, this hand seems really good. It's a counterbalance hand. We've got some ways to interact with our opponent. We got the 1 Detention Sphere, which is super important in the matchup. All right, opponent goes Island Pass. That's fine. We'll play the Polluted Delta. I'm terrified our opponent's going to play something like Shadow of Doubt, so I'm just going to go ahead and get a tap land here. Generally, when I don't know what my opponent's doing, I tend to fetch relatively aggressively. It's not like we're really holding up anything anyway. Opponent probably has a read on the fact that we're not playing Spell Snare in our Counterbalance deck. So, I don't know. Could have been wrong, but whatever. Ooh, Keys to the City is cool. All right, so discard a card. When it comes untapped, so it's like a really strange loot effect, and they can also make stuff unblockable. We'll get down the Counterbalance, which hopefully will be big game over the course of this matchup. Just randomly countering things seems awesome. All right, we will shock this in and pass the turn. Our life total doesn't seem super important in the matchup. It seems like medium important. Because they do have the cranial plating that we saw game 1, but I think if we're losing the game, it's because we're just losing to the Thopter combo that we're like super behind of. It's not going to be something. Yeah, let's see. All right, so use this ability. All right, we have Island on top of our deck. Does that change what we want to do here? Opponent can counter something. Yeah, let's just go ahead and Spellcaller it. That's fine. Just use our mana here. If our opponent has Metallic Rebuke, that's fine. Yeah, sure. Okay. So no. Not use it. No. All right. So this way we can resolve the Jace here. Ooh. Almost F6 through my turn. That would have been really bad. 2, 3, 4. Cast the Jace. We'll draw 3 and we'll float a negate on top. Or we can even float a Counterbalance on top. That actually seems kind of cool too. We'll float Purge, Counterbalance, so we just have a couple of 2s on top. All right, the opponent can choose to draw a card if they'd like. And then we can hold up the cryptic commands for the next turn. Opponent plays Glimmer Void, that's fine. 3 cards in hand. Oh, opponent's going to whir here. Okay, that's fine. Okay, opponent whirs where converted mana cost is 5. So we will not show them the fact that we have a Counterbalance on top. If they got the Thopter Foundry, we can try to exile the Thopter Foundry. Yeah, okay. We can use our Celestial Purge to counter that, or to exile that. All right, we will draw some cards here. We will put back Ghostly Prison and Counterbalance. We'll play this land, and then we will just main phase Celestial Purge that. All right, so unfortunately, I just did the classic overthinking everything, worrying about the video and stuff like that, and totally forgot what order we put back the 2 cards. I think Ghostly Prison we put back first, and I don't even remember what the second card is. And of course, they cast the 3-mana spell here. Man. All right, well. Oh, no, okay, so they're just... all right, so 5 again. No, that's fine, and then we'll just negate this. All right, maybe we did put it on top. We'll see. No, we had to Counterbalance on top. Okay. I forgot. Okay, so it was Counterbalance, and we had the other one there. Yeah, all right. This is fine, though. We're certainly not dead here. Our opponent's going to get a 2-mana cost thing, and we can Detention Sphere it. Okay. So they get the Thopter Foundry, which is fine. We will do a little bit of brainstorming here. Ghostly Prison. So we definitely don't want Ghostly Prison. And we probably just put the Counterbalance on top, too, to be honest. We'll just keep floating that Counterbalance. 1, 2, 3, cast Detention Sphere, get rid of the Thopter Foundry. Our opponent's going to get to gain some life. That's fine. At the end of the turn, we can get the get a Vendilion Click going. Opponent got to draw 2 cards there, which is nice. 2 whole cards. We could also consider Field of Ruining the Inventor's Fair here, which is something I might do if they just don't cast a spell. Ooh, they're going to attempt to tear the D-Sphere. Huh. All right, let's spell caller that. Man, another Retalic Rebuke? Jeez, and I keep putting them with the 2 on top because I keep thinking they're just going to, like, cast something. All right. No, I guess we'll just, just kind of take our lumps here. No. Oh, didn't even mean to show them that. That's all right, though. Okay, so Detention Sphere is down. They get back their Thopter Foundry. Continue to brainstorm. I guess now am I supposed to leave the 3 on top? I mean, probably. No, I mean we've gone through what 3 metallic rebukes now. I think I'm just being a little over, whatever you want to call it. Okay, opponent has 4 Glimmer Voids. That's a lot of Glimmer Voids. All right, so at the end of the turn, I can bounce the Thopter Foundry and draw. But yeah, I mean, this is not great for us. Yeah, I think we just passed the turn. All right. Draw some more cards. Put back. Land. Counterbalance. Play the Ghostly Prison. Pass the turn. We're just kind of hoping to hit a miracle card now. Okay, opponent sacks the Inventor's Fair. That's fine. Opponent finds a Sword of the Meek. Okay, so this is where the Spell Queller is going to come into a lot, pretty handy then. Because exiling it is big game. All right, Sword of the Meek. What card did we put on top? It was... I believe it was a 2-mana spell. I think it was Counterbalance. It was definitely Counterbalance. So we can counter the Sword of the Meek, but we don't want to. We want to actively... we want to actively just put it under the Spell Queller. Good, okay. So there's a Counterbalance on top of the deck, which we are going to shuffle. All right, Search for Azcanta is cool. Draw with the Jace. We have another Spell Queller, which is great. Don't think we want any more lands at this point. I don't know what kind of mana cost we want to float on top. Let's float an Opt, I guess. An Opt seems pretty good. All right, so we'll do that, and we'll play a Search for Azcanta, and our opponent can make 1, 2... Trying to think if they can somehow triple block this Spell Queller. If they do it, we'll just use our Cryptic Command and blow them out. So, cool. All right, we have a 1 on top. Okay, opponent's drawing some cards here, which is fine. Perfect. All right, so the converted mana cost of this is 1, which we will definitely use the Counterbalance to counter. Perfect. All right, and we'll just go ahead and not put it in the graveyard, transform the Azcanta. Brainstorm, hoping to hit the Entreat the Angels. Nope. All right. We will continue to float an Opt, I guess. Our opponent just concedes. Yeah. So it was going to be really hard for our opponent to come back from that game, especially after we were able to get rid of the second wear. The Counterbalance, once again, didn't do a lot, but it did enough where our opponent was constantly playing around things, letting us develop our board, and then we were just kind of brainstorming into, countering all the important things that they had. And, yeah, we got there. So we beat a couple of control-ish decks with our Miracle Lock. and we'll move on to round number 3. All right, everyone, welcome to round number 3. Obviously, we cannot keep a triple terminus hand. This hand needs a land, but it might be okay if we get there. I mean, I'm not going to mulligan a hand that has, land, path, opt, pretty much ever. Ooh, we might be playing another deck. This is kind of impressive, guys. I've just recorded 3 matches in a row, and it just so happens that all of them are playing blue cards, which means that Counterbalance is not just totally dead, which is great for us. Hopefully this is Storm. Although this hand might not be able to beat Storm. Kiln Fiend. Okay, well, our hand can kind of beat a Kiln Fiend. Although not the way this is shaping up. So do we have to opt here into... Yeah, I think we do. I think we have to opt and try to hit a land. That's not an untapped land. So could we die? Probably. Do we need to bottom it? No. All right. Well, this could go bad. Could just die. Might die. We'll see. See what our opponent throws at us here. If they need like double strike plus bolt plus like mutagenic growth, I think kills us. Yeah. They have exactly those 3 cards in their hand. Then we're probably dead. Opponent's thinking, probably counting. I wonder what they think we could have. They probably think that there's a chance we have a spell snare. I think if our opponent has lethal on turn 3 here, they're just supposed to jam it and hope that we don't have, the things that they're worried about. I don't think it gets any better for them than right here. And it's not like we realistically can interact with them. I guess like the cards they'd have to worry about are Dismember and like Spell Snare. I guess that's really it. Spell Pierce, but blue-white decks don't really play Spell Pierce. Although they don't really know what we are. I guess this Prairie Stream kind of tips it off that we're a really controlling deck. By the way, I love this card. It wasn't great. This is the first time it's come up in a while where if this was a Hallowed Fountain, we'd be much better off. I love the ability in decks that are like holding up fetches for absurd amounts of time like ours is. The ability to just find an untapped duel in the mid to late game is incredible. There are quite a few situations where this card is a little awkward, but usually you have enough lands in your hand where you can just play it in a way that it's not going to be super awkward. All right, the opponent's on a Death Shadow build, so they were probably not just dead here. Honestly, don't really know what's going on. It's really cool that whatever our opponent's doing, they're playing like Grixis things. We'll take a little bit of damage here. Wonder if our opponent is going to pump it somehow. Okay, mutagenic growth. So that's 7. So if, yeah, we're dead to a double strike here. Yeah, okay, they have it. Good for them. All right. Moving to sideboards against this deck. We definitely want Dispel. We want Celestial Purge. Rest in Peace might be okay. Supreme Verdict seems good. Cards that are bad include Teferi and the Cryptic Commands. So if we board these out, we can maybe board in 2 negates and cut a Jace and maybe just run it back like that. There's a chance that Ghostly Prison's pretty good, actually. They can't really attack through it too well. So maybe we'll cut a Counterbalance for that. I think the Counterbalance lock's going to be secondary, if not even third. It's the word tertiary? Tertiary? I don't know how to pronounce it. It's one of those ways. Maybe I'm just totally wrong. All right, I'll keep this hand. We actually have insulation from Blood Moon if our opponent's playing Blood Moon, but I doubt it because I saw, shadowy things. But keeping 3-4 removal spells and some land seems really good in this matchup. If our opponent thought seizes us here, this is about as Thoughtseize proof as a hand can possibly be. All of the cards kill our opponent's stuff at, to varying degrees. All right, cool. Faithless Looting. There's a chance we definitely wanted our interaction with our opponent's graveyard. They might be on a Bedlam Reveler build or something. I don't really know what they're doing. I didn't want to just bring in Rest in Pieces because how much it shuts off what we're trying to do with our Ascantas and our mission briefings and stuff. But at the same time, it could have just been that our opponent is really reliant on their graveyard and just happened to have a draw that didn't make it appear that way. But any deck that has like Death Shadow and stuff like that, Death Shadow and Kiln Fiend, you don't automatically just assume that you're going to want to bring in Rest in Peace against it. I mean, they do have Faithless Lootings, but shutting down half of Faithless Looting isn't particularly strong in a lot of matchups. And we'll just wait while our opponent looks at their hand. All right, opponent discards Bloodstained Mire, Manamorphose, passes the turn. Okay. Well, I guess we're just gonna play... So, I guess if we play the island here, then we can hold up Celestial Purge. I think I like that, just because the paths are a significantly less clean answer to a Kiln Fiend or something than the Celestial Purge is. I'd rather be mana efficient there and play a tap land later. I do like this art on Path to Exile. It's possibly just because it is a little bit more unique than the fact that the art itself is good. But once you cast this card, some number of times, like I have, like a crazy amount of times, looking at the same art gets a little bit boring. So I kind of like the fact that it's a little different now. Opponent shocks in a Blood Crypt and passes, so that definitely means they have Death Shadows. We'll just play that Colonnade here and pass. So they're probably looking to set up a way to play Death Shadow next turn. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, just a Manamorphose. Yeah, they almost certainly have Bedlam Revelers in their deck. If we win this game and we see a Bedlam Reveler, I'll probably bring in some Rest in Pieces next game. Blue, red. 7 cards in hand. Also not doing anything. Cracks Bloodstained Mire. Well, the good thing is that they're not going to be able to hold up counter magic here. If they're casting a Death Shadow. Sure. All right, so there's the Death Shadow. I'll just purge it, I guess, here. All right. Of course, I tap wrong. I've been playing a lot of Magic Arena recently, and the auto tapper on a Magic Arena is great. It's only messed me up like once or twice, and even when it did, it was super negligible in terms of what the outcome would be. And in both cases, it wasn't their fault. It was just that they, not they, but the Arena's fault. They didn't know that I had, was drawing a card off the top. Like it was a card that was, when enters the battlefield, draw a card or something similar. I think it was Militia Bugler. And it tapped in a way that was a little bit off from the card that I wanted to play. But I guess it did it based on statistics of what was in my deck as to whether or not to tap blue or white mana. But that's either here or there. But in general, I think the software is pretty good. All right, so Death Shadow resolves. Hopefully they play something else, and then we can just path it. All right. So opponent passes the turn. We will be mana efficient and path it here. It's dead. Opponent has 5 cards in hand. We're going to try to get there with this Search for Ascanta. But we still have 2 removal spells. Put opt to degree. Yes, we would like lands. Oh, we have a Jace. Okay. Have we seen remand from our opponent? If they remand this Jace, can we realistically lose the game? And I don't think we can, so I'm just going to play it. If they have remand, then they have remand. Okay. So we'll definitely draw some cards now. We will put opt there and search for Azcanta on top so that we can mill the search for Azcanta with our search for Azcanta. And now our opponent is going to have a lot of stuff to still attack us because we can bounce things with Jace, because Jace is a wonderful magic card. But it flashes back the looting. That's fine too. Ooh, that's cool. Claim to fame. Something to keep in mind. All right, so we'll put that on the graveyard, draw the opt, draw with the Jace. All right, we do hit a land, which is good. Probably put back Telling Time, and honestly, Mana Leak. It doesn't seem particularly good here either. Play the land and pass the turn. Probably plan on fielding our opponent to add a card to our graveyard, as well as take them off of, hopefully, lands at some point, because we are going to be pathing them too eventually. Okay, opponent goes up to 6 cards in hand. Just hit one of the black sources to shuffle away the top of our library. Okay, opponent bolts the Jace, that's fine. Honestly, didn't really expect our opponent to have bolts in their deck post board, but I think we're okay. Put island degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll say yes, because that will flip the Azcanta, which is basically the same as hitting a land drop this turn anyway. We also hit a land drop, which is perfect. And now we can kind of just ride the Azcanta to victory, hopefully. All right, opponent plays a Death Shadow. That's fine. We can try to opt into a Terminus here before using the Azcanta. Make our opponent fight about the Terminus before using any of our actual targeted removal spells. Maybe just see if we get a little lucky. Oh, they're going to give it haste. Okay. Sure. Okay. 6 power Death Shadow. Okay, mutagenic growth's the Death Shadow. All right, so I guess we have to be a little... So we have Path to Exile mission briefing. So we can path it and then mission brief. So can we opt, hit Terminus, and then still do both of those things? Yeah, we can. All right, so we'll wait until our opponent goes to combat here. All right, so now they're attacking. We will opt, trying to hit a Terminus here. Timely reinforcements. Yeah, let's put that on the bottom. All right, we drew a Jace. Okay, so we will now path the Death Shadow. See if our opponent has 2 protection spells. No, okay, so that just resolves. Sounds good with me. Opponent does have another swamp. I don't know what's going on then. All right, we will take a Path to Exile. Perfect. and there is another land. We'll just play a Jace, and I guess we can take this one up on our opponent. No, they can draw a Manamorphose. That's fine. That doesn't particularly... I mean, I guess bottoming it does kind of the same thing because they're drawing a card off of it. So maybe we just should have bottomed it, but it doesn't matter. I don't think. Unless they got, like, Arclight Phoenixes in their deck. Oh, maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they have Arclight Phoenixes. That's kind of cool. All right, we still have Path, Mission Briefing Path here. And we can also just draw a card off the Escanta. Okay, opponent just looks like they're just going to pass the turn. So we'll draw a card off of the Escanta. That one. And we can start getting in with the Celestial Colony. Ooh, 4 lands. Wow. All right. All right, let's draw some cards with the Jace. Hope to hit a... okay, cool. So we can put a Terminus on top. Oh, we don't have a way to draw a card, though, currently. Oh, we can Mission Briefing opt. Okay, so we will just put... put Telling Time and then Terminus on top. We will play this land. And then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, activate, and then still do Mission Briefing, opt, cast it. No, that seems a little too risky. We'll just set it up for next turn. So we'll play the Counterbalance here. And then using these Telling Times, we can continuously float the Terminus on top of our library. We can just... Okay, our opponent just concedes. All right. Still anything in the graveyard that seems to matter. And I don't think so. It's just the Faithless looting, and nothing else seemed to matter. I don't know if they were playing like a Grixis blue deck, like a Grixis Suicide blue deck, or what. But, I mean, that seemed fine. Like, everything about that went okay, right? We have the paths and the timely and the... Yeah, I'll just submit it. Oh, while we're talking about this, so one thing that I'm kind of excited to do is try to use some of the cards that are going to be printed in the next set for flipping Counterbalances because of the split mana costs. Just like how, you know, there's cards in this set that have for the other guilds. All right, this hand's fine. It's missing a path, but that's, you know, I don't think we can just mulligan the path in this matchup. Just kind of like apparently our opponent didn't mulligan the creatures last match, so there's that. We can mana leak something, hopefully timely. Maybe our opponent doesn't have the double strike right away. There's also not a great idea would be to try to aggressively fetch to get below our opponent. Like if our opponent plays a basic next turn, what is this? Additional cost count is about... Oh, it's right of consumption. Okay, I actually do know what this card does. All right, so it's like a fling. And then they have counter... I don't know what's going on with our opponent's deck. They have way too much going on, in my opinion. All right, we'll just play that tapped. But it seriously looks like our opponent is trying to do like multiple different things. They're trying to protect their combo, and also they're going not only like all in on their combo, but like super all in on their combo. This hand doesn't do anything, so they can take whatever. All right, opponent takes the mana leak. Oh, and passes the turn. Wow, that's big game for us. So their opponent is real land light. Yeah, let's go ahead and just get down this Counterbalance then. Opponent does find a land. All right, let's get lucky, Mr. Counterbalance. Let's try to, get something good here. Our opponent hopefully will play like a 2-drop, and we'll just counterbalance it, revealing like Telling Time, which would be ideal. All right, Kiln Fiend. Reveal. Yeah, we did it. Revealing Celestial Purge. Sweet. All right. So now that was countered blindly by the counterbalance. It time walked our opponent. We get this Celestial Purge. We'll play this. We can cast Telling Time to try to lock our opponent out. This is great. So turn 3, and we have a soft lock on our opponent. This is kind of what I was trying to highlight before, is that if you can get lucky with the first counterbalance, then you can, in the future, do some pretty sweet stuff. All right, so Telling Time. Let's try to put a 2 on top. Sweet. All right, so we will draw the path, put the briefing on top. Yes, use Counterbalance's ability. And then at the end of the turn, fetch. Because we don't want to draw that. We'll get a Hallowed Fountain. All right, and then we drew another Telling Time, which is great. We can continue to now just soft lock our opponent with the counterbalance. We do need a way to get ahead, so like drawing a Jace would be great, but yeah, all right, cool. So our opponent doesn't do anything here. We'll just take our turn. All right, we drew a land, which is fine. We are trying to make our land drops here. We have 2 removal spells, even if our opponent can somehow get through the soft counterbalance lock. We'll do the same thing here. We'll just try to prevent our opponent from drawing a card. We will put Opt in our hand, Telling Time on top. Yep, counter the Manamorphose, pass the turn. Actually, I think we will draw that card. Try to opt for a land, I guess. All right. Well, we bottom and negate, draw negate. Classic Moto Shuffler. We have 2 of those in our deck. Chances of that are like 1 in, like 36,000 or something like that. Actually, maybe it's not that high, but the chances of 2 of them being right next to each other is not favored. All right, we'll just pass the turn. Play a Colonnade. Good. So we so far have countered multiple Manamorphose without using a spell. So far this has been a 3-for-1. We'll see, how many more it continues to be. The opponent shocks down to 8 and just passes the turn. Just continue to make our land drops. That's fine. At a certain point, when we can hold up a little bit, we'll start beating down with the colonnades. But I don't think we're at that point yet. We're not in danger of dying, and the late game favors us. Opponent does eventually need to fight through this counterbalance. Okay, Death Shadow. All right, so let's just Telling Time here. All right, we will put an island in our hand, and we'll put the Path to Exile on top. Yep, use the ability, counter the Death Shadow. Opponent moves to concession. Nope. All right. I thought there was a relatively good chance that our opponent was going to concede there. All right. Play an island for the turn. I think we'll make like 1 or 2 more land drops before winning the game. I'm actually having a lot of fun doing this right now, so I think we'll just continue to do it. Faithless Looting. All right, so let's do the mission briefing trick now, where hopefully we can leave a card on top with mission briefing. Yeah, all right, so we'll put that in the graveyard. Put that on top of my library. Choose Telling Time. Yep, counter the Faithless Looting. Continue to counter the Faithless Looting. It's how Faithless Looting works. All right, and then we will telling time. Hopefully draw a land, put our opponent to 4. All right, so put that in my hand. We can put the entreat on top, actually, so that way we can still hold up some more mana. So yes, we'll reveal entreat the angels, and we will cast it. Let's just make 3 angels. That's fine. That's all we'll need to win here. Play that and pass the turn with path, purge, negate, up, plus some blind flips. Awesome. So Counterbalance has countered every spell that our opponent's played since. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 Faithless Lootings. Awesome. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and trying to counterbalance lock some people out of the game. We only really managed to set up the whole lock once, and it was really sweet when we got there. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. We did play against, it looks like, at least one budget deck, and then this deck wasn't really, something super competitive, but well, maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it. It's not something with results. Let me know if you enjoyed this content. I can try to make a whole video on this. I didn't want to just throw away some money. And honestly, it performed a little bit better than I expected. So maybe it is worth trying to run through a league. Make sure you subscribe and enter the contest. And I will be sending that out to one of you lucky people in about 10 days. And I will see you next time.